Welcome to the Last Awakening Warriors YouTube channel. I am your host, Joshua David, and I'm here with my cohort, Mr. Johnny Walker. How you doing, bud?
I'm good. Why am I never a host? Why am I a cohort? What's it even mean? Never mind. I'm good to answer your question. Thank you.
I hope you're good. Yeah, you are the other person besides me that does this, so you're the cohort.
Okay, I'll be a hort, and I might hear a who.
A Horton might hear a who.
Yeah, a cohort might hear a who. Or a what.
Or a what.
So speaking of what.
Oh, and this is going to be Marriage or Mirage part Deuce.
Yes.
And why are we doing part 2?
Somebody asked a question of a dear friend of mine. I ain't going to say their name because I don't know if they want their name said. But they said...
I'll say their name. I don't care.
All right, I'll say it.
No, I won't. No.
I was going to say, Sally says, she sells by the seashore. That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
So, anyway, the person mentioned they felt like we kind of left things hanging on the last video. And I said, how so? And they said, well, you mentioned all the reasons why you believe that you shouldn't take vows, that Christ said you shouldn't take vows and swear by anything.
Which is the main point.
Yep, true. And you mentioned you guys aren't going to take the vows, you know, the marriage vows. But she said, what if somebody does take the vows? So I explained it to her, and we're going to go ahead and explain tonight what happens and what Christ said about if you do take the vows. And then it's going to lead back into some other stuff when it comes to it having to do with a law of Yahweh's. And we got some other information about the law of Yahweh and who the law of Yahweh was for. Right?
Yes, and I actually think it goes a lot deeper than probably what we're going to get here on this video. As far as the spiritual aspects of things.
I agree.
But we are going to do it justice, and we're going to do it so where people can understand. But like I said, I think it goes a lot deeper than what we actually understand, especially just in the reference that we're using, which is the Bible, to understand what these things actually are.
Sure, and as you continue to grow, even after you die to this world and you awaken your true spirit, you're constantly being reminded.
Well, you're constantly reminded of more truths and understanding of things.
Yeah, sure. We're just taking you all on this ride with us, right?
Yeah, because usually the stuff we talk about is the stuff that we're literally learning or learned in that day or two that up to this video. And matter of fact, this one here was like literally before we press go on the go live, we were sitting here discussing these things, trying to see what our spirit was actually saying to us as far as these scriptures were actually put together and given to us in the Word, and how those things fit together.
Yeah, we'll find the scripture and we'll be like, hey, there's something about that. What is that saying? What is that saying? And then it ends up being what we thought it was saying, and wow, we just learned something. That's how it happens.
And some things, it's like, you get a piece here and this piece over here, and then you get this one over here, and like 3 months later, all of it comes together as one thing, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy.
Precept on precept, a little here, a little there.
Right.
A little from here, a little from there.
And like that's how this video, that's how the original video started. because I had bits and pieces over the last 3 or 4 months about things.
Yeah.
And this specific topic about marriage to begin with. And then we found the one in, I think it's Luke, where it's talking about this age of the people of this age, which is actually referring to the people of the soul, which is this age, the age of the soul, and the people of the age to come. Yep. That is the resurrected you within you, your true self, the phantom, the shadow that was originally created out of love, being now the new age, the new you, which is the old you. This is what John talks about. I give you a new law, the law of love. Love your God as yourself and love your neighbor as yourself. Love your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. But it's an old law. It's actually the original law.
It's also what it means when it's talking about the first will be last and the last will be first.
Exactly. Yeah. But with that,
unlocking secrets of the universe.
Welcome to the last.
You always got to have your intro, man. You just got to have it. I don't care.
Love the intro.
Welcome to the Awakening, your awakening. And that's what we're here for. We are here to awaken the real you by helping you find out who you are and how to get there. And that's what our last video was actually about. I think it's 2 videos ago now, because we had the one about off the cuff. Had I known how to save a life. If you haven't watched that video, go watch it. You can go to our YouTube channel and watch Had I Known How to Save a Life, and you can save your life, your soul.
Yep.
So let's get started, bud.
I think we should go first with explaining to everybody, like she asked, what happens if you do want to get married?
Well, for one, I would say you're living in your soul and you're not in your true self yet. And you're doing the wishes and the will of your Father that you have now. And he wants you to get married.
Well, yeah, the one that rules this world.
And the one that rules your soul. The ones that rules your soul, which is the devil. The devil is the one that rules your soul. And as long as you are, as long as you haven't denounced your true self, or the self that you are now, your soul, as long as you haven't denounced your soul, you're still doing his will. You're still doing his bidding on this earth.
Yeah.
And that might be hard for some people to hear, but that's just the way it is. I didn't make these rules up.
I didn't. We didn't make it up, and we even talked about it, at other times and stuff. And like, I don't have a problem if somebody wants to have a love celebration. And after thinking about things and stuff, as long as we're not taking a vow and putting ourselves under a bondage that a vow would bring.
Right, and that's the thing that we're going to kind of show today is that you can either do the will of the soul or you can do the will of the Father. And the will of the Father is the love that was inside of you that you have to wake up, right? That's what this whole channel is about, right? It's you awakening the love that's inside of you. That is the Father, for one. It is the Spirit of truth. And it's a different will. It's not the will of something else. It's your will. And always in your will, you have to be sovereign. Because if you're not, you're a slave to something.
Exactly.
This is one of the whole reasons why, to be honest with you, I've been having this real hard time of deciding on not if I wanted to buy a house or not. Because I know what that means.
Yeah, you're under bondage.
I will be putting myself under bondage until that debt is paid.
Yep.
And they have rulership over me.
Sure.
And this is what Christ is getting us not to do.
Well, you sign that contract, it's the same as signing a marriage contract and taking vows. You're swearing to do this. You're swearing to make the payment.
It is, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not as a deep bond on you for the money than it is than your flesh and someone else's flesh. Both of your souls become one.
And Yahweh wants marriage for life. Yahweh wants marriage for life, so that's a bondage for life.
And we were talking before this video started about, does that extend to the spirit that we are now? I would say no, because if you come into this phantom that we are now, the true self, you're not going to get married. I don't think you can, because you will be willingly going against what Jesus said. And we had these feelings before we read that stuff. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
When we came into this and we was born again, we already had this. We was already starting to talk. We was already talking about this week 1.
Yep.
Week 1.
It's proof that when you come into love and you're born again, you're reborn, you know all truths.
You know all truths.
Right? You may have not formulated and reminded yourself of why or how, but you start talking about these things. You start feeling
immediately. We started talking about this specific one because for me, that was the one thing I've always wanted.
Yep.
And as soon as this happened, I'm like, no, that isn't what I really want.
Nah.
Josh might have wanted that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not who this wants. That's not what it wants. It does not want to be bound to anyone for the duration of forever of that soul.
Right. And we're going to get into why being bound to somebody through the flesh and soul, how that would affect
because here's the thing, right?
Trying to wake your spirit up.
You're going to tell me that you're going to take that vow and you're never going to see anybody in lust after them for the duration of your life, either you or your partner?
Yep.
Because it's not just the act anymore, because Jesus said it wasn't just the act anymore. If you think it.
Yep.
He made it even harder on you.
Yep.
Now, here's the thing. When you come into the true self, you no longer live by the law of the soul, which is the 10 Commandments and the knowledge of good and evil. All that is swept away. You are under the law of love.
Exactly.
And it's the law that Jesus talked about when he talks about actually fulfilling the law. It's not the law of the 10 Commandments he was just talking about. He never talked about hardly the 10 Commandments. He always talked about the law of love.
Yep.
Now, he said that none of the law would go away or the prophets until everything was accomplished. Well, everything was accomplished when he gave his soul, his flesh, back to Yahweh.
On the cross.
On the cross. It was not about him saving you. He was giving back Caesar what was his. Yahweh's soul, he gave it back to him. He said, here.
He said, because in John 6:63, he said the flesh counts for nothing anyway. The soul counts for nothing anyway.
It cannot pay a debt if it's worthless.
Yep. So what he was doing, and when he said it is finished,
he was referring to that. He accomplished everything that he was sent here for.
Yep.
And it wasn't the flesh Jesus that accomplished it. It was the spirit of him, where they say it's a spirit in the Bible. The phantom.
Yeah.
The shadowy image of the original.
Yeah, it was love. It was his portion of the Father, just like you have a portion. Yep.
So when people want to put themselves in slavery, is what it is, then you can, if you know you're going to fulfill the vow that you're going to make.
Yeah.
But the marriage vow is deeper than a regular vow. I can pay back the money.
Absolutely.
Can I control the thoughts of my mind if they're governed by the soul and the soul is governed by the devil?
It's almost impossible, wouldn't you say?
He's going to tempt you. He's going to tempt your soul. That's the whole point. And that's the whole point of him putting you into bondage anyway, is so that you break it, so that you are eternally damned. How about that? You want to really talk about what it really means? You're eternally damned if you break that covenant, because you broke it. You said, until death do you part. You didn't honor it.
Yeah. And you swore to not only the person that you're marrying, you made that commitment
but to Yahweh himself, the devil himself.
And to Yahweh. That's right. It says,
and you're bound to that judgment until the day one of you die. And if you break that, are you under the law? How long are you under the law for? One of you is going to die under the law.
Right.
Let's put it that way. Some of you, it might be both of you if you die at the same time.
Yeah, very rare, but yeah.
How can you find the kingdom if you're eternally bound in your soul until you die? How can you find it?
Let's explain real quick how it would be hard for you to wake up if you're bound to someone else.
Well, Paul told you that if you're married, you're not doing what the Lord wants you to do, which I don't agree with the Lord part, but you're not doing what your spirit inside of you wants to do. You're doing the will of the person that you're bound to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. It's so true. Look at any couple. How hard is it for a couple to stay in church?
Mm-hmm.
I watched it myself my whole life with my parents.
Right.
I've watched it with my brothers and sisters. They're all married. I'm the only one actually not married in my family.
That's true.
As far as my brothers and sisters go. And if I would have had my way, I would have been married too, but the Father had other plans.
I would have been married about 45.
Thankfully, he had other plans, because I would have been eternally bound to that too.
I would have been married about 45 times into a lot of the wrong people. I picked a lot of wrong ones.
Because here's the big thing. Everybody wants to find love in someone to love them, right?
Sure.
But nobody wants to kill their flesh to find the true love that's inside of them. So then they can actually know when somebody actually loves them and it's not a guessing game or based upon feelings for someone or how they see someone.
Or emotions, yeah. Which all comes from the soul.
It all comes from the soul, and all of it's evil. That's why you have to die.
What's everybody say all the time? Is like, you can't truly love someone until you love yourself. Well, how can you love yourself if you can't find the true love that's in yourself?
Exactly.
Right? So,
well, there are some people who love their soul. They do.
Mm-hmm.
And those people are the farthest people, I would say, from the kingdom.
Those are some narcissistic, prideful, I'm telling you, the friend I was talking to the other day that brought up the fact that, about our video, we had to talk about people that are narcissistic and so full of pride and so delusional and stuff, and how scary it is to be in a situation like that. Because if you're in a situation like that, man, if I can't criticize myself, this self, if I never think that this self, this soul, this flesh is ever wrong about anything, how can I die to it if I can't even think it's wrong? Ever. right?
I would agree.
So that would be a scary place to be.
And another thing is you get these people who, like we talked about last time, who are constantly in relationships their whole life. Well, how can you ever find who you are and awaken yourself if you're always connected with somebody else?
Yeah.
And according to the Bible, if you've had sex with them, you're one with them. So how many people are you one with now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what the answers are for, or what loopholes people are looking for when Jesus says the things he says. But he says what he says, and there's reasons why he said the things he said, because he doesn't want you to be bound for eternity. Because if you don't renounce your soul, you're going to be bound for eternity in this realm.
I think the question,
and it's not going to be the fun you think it is.
Real quick, I think the question is not necessarily looking for a loophole, but more about what about people that are already married, that have already took a vow?
They got to honor, according to Jesus. They got to honor that vow. Unless there's sexual immorality, you have to honor that. Sorry for you.
Yep.
This is why.
And here's the fact. And it's not about the Christ, the anointing, or the Father's going to punish you if you don't. It's about the fact that Yahweh, the ruler of this world,
which you made the vow to.
Yeah, he has set in place punishments for breaking laws.
Yeah, and as long as you live by those laws, you're bound to them.
Unless you die to this flesh and you wake up the spirit, your true spirit within you, you're probably going to get those punishments.
Yeah.
Listen, he can't punish me for nothing that my flesh and soul did, because I'm dead to those. I'm dead to all that. Who I truly am didn't do that. That was my soul. That was my flesh.
And the thing is, right? Let's say right now. Let's say I do something stupid now. Let's say I go out and sleep with somebody.
Yeah.
Well, do you believe Paul when he said when you sin to the flesh, you reap to the flesh?
Well, you do, yeah. You're going to reap to the flesh. If you sin to the flesh, you're going to reap with the flesh.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
Because Yahweh has His rules set in place. These laws set in place.
Well, I'm just saying that there's a separation now between who we are now and still the flesh, and sometimes the flesh does do stupid stuff even now.
Yeah, but listen. By saying this, we're not giving people permission to go out and have sex with any old person.
No.
If you're going to be with somebody intimately like that, sexually like that, that you're not in love with, I wouldn't say to do it.
No, because then you're breaking a different law, right? You're breaking you're breaking the law of love if you don't love them, for one.
Yep.
And the reasons why you're doing that is to fulfill needs of the flesh.
Exactly.
And you're going to end up using that person, which is even a violation of their sovereignty.
Exactly. We've went through that in other videos.
We've been through that 20,000 times, not in a video. I'm waiting for me to find someone that I love.
And that loves you as much as you love them. Yeah.
I hope so. I hope they are in love. I hope so.
Right.
I hope they do find that. Because if they're not, how's that going to even work? Right? For one,
well, you can't,
I'm the phantom and they're the soul, right?
Yeah. You can't be unequally yoked. You just can't. Right? You can't be unequally. If you think about, it's like, all right, you got two people and they're married now, right? So they're connected. Their souls are connected as one. They're soulmates. Literally,
they're one. Now they're one being.
Yeah. So if one of them is trying to wake their spirit up, how are they going to be able to wake their spirit up when they're connected to another soul, is connected to theirs, is going to continue to help hold their spirit down? Their spirit.
It's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
After, let's say the one that does wake up, right? Let's say one does wake up, right? You know how hard it's going to be for that person to stay awake and stay together with somebody when that other person is always violating their sovereignty?
If they're truly awake, they might end up getting divorced.
They might.
I'm just going to say it now. Because if you understand that the divorce is only a sin to Yahweh, right?
Right.
Then I think...
Does that carry over if they wake up and... At this point, I don't have enough information to say.
I don't think it don't carry over to the spirit. It can't carry over to the spirit because it's from a rule, a law, right? Divorce and not to divorce is a law. It's a rule. Now, Christ said don't divorce because you're probably going to get the wrath of Yahweh that set the rule.
Right.
But like I said, I'm not afraid of his rules. How is divorce sin if without law there is no sin? See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if you wake up, would it be right to divorce? And if you divorce that person and it wasn't for sexual immorality, you're going to make that other person an adulterous person, and that would not be right. So you would be violating the law of love there. That's because they're still living under the rules of Yahweh. Yeah, the other person, but you're still violating their law of love, right? You would end up be violating them. If you got a divorce, I believe.
It's an interesting talk. I mean, that's really what we're doing right now, people. We're bouncing this. This is how me and Josh talk
every day. Every day.
We're bouncing it back and forth. What's my spirit saying? What's his spirit saying?
Because out of love, would you not want to make sure that person keeps the commitment? Now, if the other person decides to leave you, then that's not on you. And
are you to stay it? Well, like you said, will your spirit be able to stay awake? Now, are you going to risk your spirit falling back under this control of Yahweh and going back to sleep? Risk that happening just so that you're not offending this other person's law of love?
Well, it depends on how much. It depends on how much. It depends on how much they allow you to be sovereign, right?
Sure.
How long you yourself could tolerate the person that you're now with, because the reality is they're not going to like the person that you are now. They're not going to like you.
No, they're not. And listen to this. Every relationship I've ever been in was before I awoke, right?
Same
and
here.
I'm going to tell you right now, I wasn't in any relationships that the people that I was with was letting me be any kind of sovereign. Okay.
Right.
There was no freedom, man. There was no freedom. They wanted a lot of control. And I compromised the crap out of myself. I mean, to the point to where I didn't even know. So I had no clue who I was at all. Not my spirit, not my flesh, not my soul. No, I didn't know who I was at all.
Right, so I agree.
It'd be difficult. It'd be difficult for someone for you to awake, and then the person that you're married to already,
especially if they're a controlling person.
Sure. And listen, people for the most part are pretty controlling. People want what they want. That's the fleshful nature.
Oh, in the flesh and the carnal, it's 100%. That's how it is.
Sure, absolutely. So it'd be, man, you know what? I'm glad I didn't get married yet.
Dude,
I can say that.
Dude, I'm glad I'm not in that predicament where I am married and I woke up.
Yeah. And listen, and we ain't blasting married people. Don't get carried away with yourself now. Don't get all excited.
Well, here's the thing.
Let's
really talk about the issue of marriage. Let's really talk about this. This has nothing to do with male and female, and this has nothing to do with Western society that tells every female that they have to get married, they have to find a prince. That's all lies. That's lies from Satan himself.
Yeah.
That is the construct of the devil that keep telling you that you're not someone and you're not fulfilled unless you go and make this stupid vow for your eternity.
Yeah.
Now, you can either keep believing that and you want this knight in shining armor and you want this prince and you want this guy that's going to love you forever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because the reality is all the stuff you're looking for in this guy is in you, for one, and you don't accept you for who you are to begin with.
No,
and you're looking for fulfillment in someone else instead of looking for fulfillment in yourself.
You're not going to find it in someone else. Now, real quick, when Christ is talking about how unless you be like a child, you'll never enter the kingdom of heaven, you start looking at a child and say they were blessed enough to have two parents in their life.
I did.
And their parents loved each other.
They
right?
do.
They truly loved each other. Yeah, I had that too, right? I had that too.
Yeah.
So I know as a small kid, I seen what my parents had, and I wanted that. Now, did I say was I thinking, man, I really want to get a marriage license, and so I could pay insurance and have health insurance, as a couple, and this and that, and blah 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 for the IRS, and I really want to do this wedding in a church, and I didn't plan none of that crap. I could care less about none of that crap. I didn't even know about it. I wanted someone to love me like I saw my mom love my dad.
Exactly. And now I can actually say I want somebody to love me better than that. But
yeah, sure, I can say that too. But,
no, the reality is now I don't want somebody to love me like that at all. I want someone to love themselves as themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I already love myself as myself.
If they love their self as much as they should, once they awaken, they will. Then they're going to show you love. It's going to be great.
Right. And the greatest love is allowing someone their sovereignty.
Absolutely.
And that's not just because we're males. We're saying males have no, because the reality is, we talked about this earlier, neither one of us are male. In the kingdom, there's neither male nor female.
Mm-hmm. That's right. We're a spirit.
I'm not the identity that you see.
Listen, love doesn't have sexual organs. Okay.
Love is like it says, love is blind.
Yep. It doesn't see anybody for who this world thinks they are. It's just love. It's just the Father.
And I don't want people to think that just because we're males, we're saying, oh, we shouldn't get married and blah, blah, blah. No.
Now, we are not Paul. We are not Paul.
Paul didn't want you to get married because he wanted everybody to be one of the 144,000 who are all men who have not, who have all sustained from sexual relations with women. And you can go read that in the book of Revelations if you like.
144,000 were men that had not slept with women. There was no women in the
And those people dedicated their lives to Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
These are actually the clergy people of the Jewish people. And believe me, the reasons why they don't want to get married is far stranger than what you think. Because if you go read their writings, they're talking the Talmud. It's because they want to be with little boys.
It's the traditional Jewish rabbinic text, the rabbi's text. It's called the Talmud, the Talmudic text, and it is a messed up group of people. And these are the traditional. These teachings were passed down from generation to generation,
only to the priest class.
Yeah, they never wanted it wrote down because they never wanted people to find out the truth about what they believed.
This is why all the little girls and little boys had to go to the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So, these are just things that the church don't even want to talk about when it comes to this stuff.
Nah. Even mentioning this stuff, our video might get pulled down. That's how deep it goes. Oh, well, you're dogging on the Jewish people. No, we're not. No, we're not.
No, we're telling the true history of what these people really were. This is why Jesus said their God was the devil, book, for one. And two, they were the sinners.
Yeah. The religious, the Jewish people of the time were the sinners. That's who Christ came to save, to reveal the truth to.
Well, it was all of Israel, because they were teaching the other Israelites the nonsense that Yahweh was telling them, and the nonsense they were making up that wasn't even said by Yahweh, and all the stuff Moses told them, and all the stuff they rewrote in around 800 BC when Jeremiah told them that it was the scribes and the lying pens were rewriting everything, but Jewish people never wrote anything wrong, even though Jeremiah tells you in the Bible they wrote everything different.
Yep.
It wasn't the true words that were written.
By the time Jeremiah showed up and was starting to talk, he was telling you they'd already changed everything.
Changed everything in all the scrolls.
Yep.
To fit their own lust, to give themselves rulership over people and to take control of them.
Yep. And Yahweh was pleased with it. He was absolutely happy with it.
I don't know. Well, sometimes he wasn't. Well, sometimes he got flipping sick of it and told them about themselves too, like he did in Isaiah.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that he would set up things
when he talked about all your stupid sacrifices and your new moons and your Sabbaths. Who required you of these things?
Right.
Yahweh's saying that. Who required you of all these things that you guys are doing? All the sacrifices, all the offerings, all the assemblies, going to church, all the what was the other thing he was talking about? All the new moons and the Sabbaths and the feasts that they were doing.
The feast, that's right.
He said all of them were evil.
Yeah.
It's chapter 1 of Isaiah if you want to go read it for yourself.
Yep.
Well, I didn't think he was going to go this route with everything, but
I'm just letting you preach, bro. Yeah.
No, this is the thing. You don't understand the context of the things that you're doing in your soul when you make vows. Yep. Like, I understand now more so than I ever did prior. And like I said, I've been having this whole debate with myself for like, what, 6-7 months now? On really, do we just not go get an apartment and be done with it? Or do I buy a house and we be bound, or I be bound for until we get it paid off?
Well, you know, it's an issue. It is an issue, and it's something you got to figure out. Because, like you said,
that vow is not the same. I want to make this clear. That vow is not the same.
It doesn't run as deep.
An eternally binding yourself to something because you become one soul.
Right.
Paul kind of alluded to this too. But, you know, he always has his skewed view on things. So you got to take it with a grain of salt.
It's hard to trust anything he says. When you find the bits and pieces of Paul that are truth, you'll know it. Especially once you awaken to the truth and you awaken to love, you'll see the truth for what it is and where it is. When he talks about,
I mean, if you want to have a wedding, there's nothing wrong with a wedding. It's the vow part that's the issue.
Yeah.
You want a ring on your finger. Most people don't even know what the ring is.
It's symbolic of something.
It's symbolic of the vow.
It's symbolic of
this is my eternal love, bondage. Blah, blah, blah.
The bondage.
It's a constant reminder of the vow.
It's literally your mark.
Yeah.
It's literally your mark. You're not tattooed, but you're wearing that ring. This is a symbol that I'm a hostage.
Now, this does not mean, right, and this does not mean that you cannot first find love in someone who loves you and be with that person and have a life here.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that at all.
Exactly.
You're living under a different law, and it's the law of love. And someone in that is not, it is hard and like beyond hard for someone who is awake to violate the law of love. It can be done. And usually that person's like, crap, I've done something stupid. Let me go make amends for this. Let me repent of this to the person, right?
Right.
Let me go fix the issue that I created by being in the flesh at a moment. It's coming from a different mindset. Now,
yeah, I've had to do that. I've had to do that the last 7.5 months. I've had to do that.
Me too. I had to say stuff to my brother about crap, and
yeah, I had to make it right.
Yeah,
I didn't beat the crap out of myself like I used to when I screwed up. I didn't feel guilty.
Right.
You know, I just knew, listen, you know what? I stepped on their sovereignty. I treated them not out of love. Right.
Right.
So I'm going to make it right. Let them know that's not who I am.
Because that's the thing is that you have people who are searching for love in this life from their soul perspective.
Yeah.
And the reality is they're never going to find the love that they're searching for. They can find somebody that might be able to fulfill all their needs. And there might be some guy out there that does that for the length of your life.
In this physical realm, right?
Yes, in the physical realm, and here in this physical realm. This is what I'm referring to. But the moment someone doesn't meet your needs, doesn't meet your requirements, doesn't meet the things that you think they should do, doesn't do the things that you want them to do, because you're forcing your sovereignty and your choices of what you think they should do onto them, that's not love. That is selfishness.
Yeah.
From the point, from the get. You're trying to force someone to change, right? You're trying to force someone to be something they're not.
All the time. That in relationships,
you yourself aren't even the person that you're supposed to be.
In relationships, you watch all the time, married couples or even unmarried couples alike, where people haven't woke up to their true self, which is love, and they're always trying to get somebody to do something else, and they're always getting offended and holding the offense, and they remember the offense years later. You say, I love you, but 10 years after an offense, guess what? You can still bring that offense up.
Why'd you do this? You've done that, and you done this to me, and you done that, blah, 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 blah.
Even though,
true love keeps no records of wrongs.
Keeps no records of wrongs.
None.
Until you find out who true love is in you, you can say all you want that you love this other person.
You don't. You lust them.
Yep. You love what you think they could be for you. You love the
idea of them.
Yep. Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, there's women that used to tell me that all the time. I never understood it until, like, it was in the process of dying. I met someone, and this person really changed my understanding of everything that I know.
Mm-hmm. I know, I was there.
Yes.
Well,
and accepting someone for who they are and not wanting them to change at all was a big thing in my life.
Because they didn't fit what you thought you wanted.
Or I thought I want them to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I think it was about a month into it, and, you know, talking with this person, I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to change her.
Yeah.
I like her for who she is right now. Just the way she is.
When the Father told you, you just needed to love her.
Exactly.
Just love her.
And I was like,
and you were hung up on a situation where, like, Yeah, but I don't think she's the person that I would love like that.
Not unless she changed. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was my perception, right? No, and he's like, look, you need to love that person.
And we're supposed to love everybody that way, right? We're supposed to love everybody. Listen,
that's the thing,
I
dude.
really
like,
want.
I cannot put past how this person was used in my life. And if there was ever a chance of this person waking up and being who they're supposed to be,
you're going to be at the door real quick.
Bro, you have no idea.
No, I got an idea.
Look, I'm not even going to lie to you. Right now, I'd accept her right now how she is. I wouldn't care.
Yep.
I wouldn't care because I know I'm not making a vow to her from a soul standpoint.
Right.
Now, and I do love her, how she is. I do. So, how does that fit into all this? I don't know.
He's just talking. He's just talking from the heart, dude. He's just talking. Listen to her. She inspired a really cool song too. That sounds really cool. I can't wait for it to be done.
Yes.
Yes. So where are we at? Have we showed any scriptures yet?
Not one. We said a whole bunch of them.
Right. No, I think that we're making the points clear and stuff, and there's some more stuff about
the
the
big
law
thing is that if you still want to get married, you can do things without having a vow.
You can have that.
See, in your flesh, in your soul, you're gonna be like, well, what's gonna make that person be loyal to me? What the hell does a vow mean? Nobody honors any vow. This is why Jesus told you not to make any. That's the whole point.
The church itself is the ones that push for the vow to be made the most, and the divorce rate in the church is higher than it is.
And that's the whole thing. You can't even break soul ties, until you come into this love, and then you can bind and unbind things.
Yep.
All that nonsense the church be telling you is nonsense. They're not even born again.
Nope.
They have no love in them. Tell them some things Jesus told you. Tell them that they're a God and see how fast the anger comes up in them.
Yeah,
Tell them that Yahweh's the devil. See how fast they want to crucify you.
Tell them that if you forgive somebody, they're forgiven. If you don't, they're not.
Right? I just told somebody that the other day. That we are the judges. We have the power to forgive and not forgive. And I'm sorry, I'm forgiving everybody.
I ain't holding nothing, because what? Love doesn't hold anything.
Nothing.
Doesn't hold anything.
But I understand why Jesus said that, though, because he told that to the Pharisees. Because they rejected the things that he was saying, right? He told them they had never sinned until they rejected the things he was saying, and they believed they knew right. And because they believed that they knew right, and not his own, in his words, which was love, that now they were guilty of all the things that they believed, right? They believed in the Ten Commandments. They're guilty of all of them.
Well, when you break one, you break them all, right?
Right, and this is what I'm saying. This is why it says that we have the power to forgive and not to forgive, right? It's not that I'm not forgiving you and you're going to hell. No, it's if you don't want to die to this world like Christ said, and you believe you know truth, when someone is telling it to you in your face, and you deny who you really are, then you are subject to the person that you believe you are, right?
Well,
the way the man thinks, so he is, right?
And if
you believe you're under the law, you believe everybody's under the law, you're judged by the law.
You live by the law, die by the law, right?
Exactly.
So, and he was telling him, he's like, listen, you don't want to believe what I say. You don't want to believe that my Father is love and that the Father is in me. You know, I'm in him and he's in me and I'm speaking the truth. You want to believe the teachings of man.
Yep.
You want to follow the law.
Then you're going to be judged by those laws.
And then you're going to, and guess who's going to judge you by those laws?
You. And Yahweh is going to give you the judgment that you believe you deserve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Matter of fact, you're going to give him the power to judge you when he doesn't have the right to.
Yeah, you're going to judge yourself, and you're going to say that, you know what? I deserve all the punishments that's coming to me for not keeping these laws. You're going to allow him to punish you. You're going to get what you asked for.
I can tell you this too. Some people should be counting their lucky stars that, for one, that they honored their vow and that they're no longer married. Yeah.
I'm telling you, dude, it would. I'm glad I didn't get married yet. Listen, do I want to meet somebody? Yeah, well, listen. If I'm with somebody and I'm awake, so if I'm with them and my hopes is I can find somebody else that's awake and that knows who they are within them. They know that they're from the Father. They are of the Father. They are of love. I would say I'm married, right? If we're together, we love each other, I would say I'm married.
I would say I'm not married.
It's a word to me. I didn't take a vow. It's my wife.
Not my wife.
We're arguing semantics.
I'm not using their terms to define me because those terms come with preconditions and notions that I don't agree with.
Well, it's like we talked to.
Who is
this?
What
you're saying, because it's like we talked about before.
This person. Well, who is she to you? She's the one I love.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
This is my lover.
It's like talking about being a Christian, saying that you're a Christian. How we don't say that no more. Why? Because if you say that to another Christian, they automatically put you in this box where they think that you are like them.
So that's what I'm going to say. This is my lover.
My lover. The church would like hearing that.
Why? Because I love her.
Yep.
And if someone see, this is the thing that's getting people confused, right? Since they're not in love, right? They're not who they are. They don't understand any of this, and it's hard for them to understand that if someone else is in love, they're not going to, with all that's in them, if they truly love you, they're not going to violate you.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing. As much as I can sit here and say that, how many times have these people been violated?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all of their own doing. They're the ones that allowed all these people to come in and out of their lives, just like the people that done these things to me.
Right.
And the things that I done to people. It was me and it was them. We were both violating each other.
I can't blame the women that I was with before the bad relationships. I chose to be with them.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I chose to be with them. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But when you only know that kind of relationship, right? And you think a piece of paper or a ring and a vow is going to somehow change the person that you're going to get married to because now you love this guy, right? And last week you loved another guy, and 3 months ago you loved somebody else, and 8 months ago you loved somebody else, right?
Yeah. Well,
how did you love 12, 13 other people? And it doesn't matter if you're a girl or a guy. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
How
doesn't matter.
do you know you didn't love any of them? You were looking for your own selfish, personal reasons to be with somebody. And most of those things are two reasons. You don't want to deal with your own faults, for one.
Sure.
You want to try to fix somebody else, for two, because it keeps you off of dealing with you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever did get alone, you would probably find who you really are, and you'd realize that that thing that you really are isn't who you want to be, and it's really nasty and disgusting. That's called your soul. And maybe, just maybe, if your soul wasn't scared enough, you get alone by yourself and find out who you really are. So then you could wake up.
And then guess what? The person that you did pick to be with then after that wouldn't be the same messed up kind of person that you've been picking over and over and over and over and over your whole life. I've been having these conversations and just something to go
I've been having these conversations for 40 years with people.
Yeah. But
and myself, number one, included.
If you go back to a little bit of what you were talking about, one of the relationships I was in, the woman was a certain way, right?
And this is the whole thing. All the things I'm saying are things I've done or people done to me. This have nothing to do with anybody else. I only talk from my own personal experience. I just want to make that clear.
Can I talk about a personal experience?
Hey, look. I'll turn your mic off. Cut this video off.
My mic ain't been on hardly. What are you talking about? Josh, sometimes he getting in the way, boy. He's getting in the way. You gonna preach. He's feeling a certain way about this. I could tell. No, but just to elaborate on what you were saying, I was in a relationship with one of the people I was with, and I really cared a lot about her because of the way she was and who she was, or who I perceived that she was by the way she was acting. As soon as I moved in with her, like literally the day, you know this.
Yes, because someone told you about this, but you didn't listen.
Yeah, this is true. But literally the day I moved in with her, absolute different person.
Yeah.
Now to go on the other side where people want to change people.
That's a good point, though. There are people that this devil God sends you that are those people. Yeah. They will be the person you think you want your whole life. And in a moment,
different.
They're totally different. And you're blindsided. Why?
And imagine this. Imagine if I went all
Why? Because you're still searching for things in this life to fulfill you instead of searching within yourself and finding the kingdom.
Here's the crazy part, Josh. Imagine this. If I would have stuck to the churchy rule, the religious rule, the Yahweh rule, and not have moved in with her until I was married. Now I just moved in with the devil, and I'm now contract
for the duration of your life. How's that?
Absolutely.
Right?
That would have sucked.
That should have been at the beginning of this video.
Yep.
No, seriously, because how many relationships are like that? How many women who end up with a serial killer or you know, that have this same story? Well, he was the greatest guy in the world. Then he murdered everybody.
Yep. I got a dear friend that she married somebody that went to church with her. Seemed like a great guy. But you know,
the devil wears a suit and goes to church every Sunday.
Listen, after they were married for a little bit, he comes out that he's an atheist. He don't even believe in God.
Imagine that.
They end up with a divorce. Right? But at the same time,
I had a friend tell me, I had a friend tell me that one of the people that we've been talking to since this all started.
Yeah.
He swears up and down, and even the guy's father, or the girl's father, his stepdad or father-in-law,
yeah,
agrees with him. It's not the same person.
Yeah,
it's not the same person.
Well, and if they're not the same person, then they end up wanting you to be a different person. Like I was getting ready to say, I had conversations with a niece of mine and even my sister. They'll get with somebody because they're cute, right?
Well, it's always because of that.
Have some kids.
Love at
with
first
them,
sight. What do you even know what
right?
love is at first sight? It's lust.
Listen to this. Then they have kids with them, get into this deep relationship. Then start wanting them to listen, I don't want you to drink no more. I don't want you to smoke no more.
Oh, now they got to change, right?
Even though I got with you knowing you did it.
Yep.
And when I got with you, I was doing it with you.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And I'm like, why are you trying to change them now? They're the same damn person you met in the first place.
Yep. It's ridiculous. It's because they might meet that person that way, but they don't see that person. They see it them being someone else, looking like that, but being somebody else. And the reality, and here's the even crazier thing, right? The women don't want to change, or the man doesn't want to change. Whoever's wanting the other person to change, they never want to change, right?
No. And
they always want the other person.
Dude.
Oh, they got to change. They got to change. No.
You see this on TV, and it's glorified, dude, in movies and TV.
Oh, always.
Where you see, somebody looking at somebody and I ain't gonna say guys don't do it, but you see it a lot with women on television and movies. Well, look at him. Well, he got a good body. He got a job. I could shape him in, the rest of these things I could work out of it,
Well, it's ours.
Exactly.
Well, he looks the way I want, but he might not act the way I want. Well, why are you trying to violate someone else's sovereignty?
Or guys, they'll go to a church to pick up a chick because they're hot. They think they're naive, and a lot of times they are. Listen, they're hot. They don't want to have sex right now, but I could figure it out. I could turn her out.
Oh yeah,
I'll get it. I'll get it worked that way.
That's constantly the game with guys.
Exactly. So it's this game that everybody's playing, man. Because I'll pick
and that's what women just don't understand. Most, unless you're in the kingdom, most guys, 99.999% guys,
they just trying to figure out how to have sex with you. That's it.
Yep. From day one.
Yeah.
From saying hello to you for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Their interactions with you is for one thing and one thing. And women do not understand that. I've tried to tell this to one of my nieces. She was like, huh? I'm like, guys, we only want one thing. Yeah. And we will do whatever it takes to get the one thing, especially if you're the soul only. If you're the soul only, that's your only thing. That's what you want to accomplish in life.
Yeah.
Because that was put in you by Yahweh.
And it don't matter if it takes months. The prettier you are,
it don't matter if it takes years, depending on who it is.
How hot the guy thinks you are, and how hard it depends on how hard he'll work to get it. Yeah.
Yep.
And all goes back to how hot he thinks you is. It's the lust aspect.
Oh yeah.
Now I gotta admit something, man. Going back to the stuff when it comes to having just wanting sex from a woman and stuff. I gotta say, even my soul wasn't so set on that. Wasn't so set on that. I really did want to be loved. I really did want to have that relationship with that other person, to have that partnership and stuff.
Not in every relationship.
Am I saying that
not in every relationship? Your end goal was that you wanted to be loved, but it was them loving you the way you wanted them to love you.
Sure. Now, was sex not a thought in any of the process? No, I ain't saying that. Of course it was.
We actually going to get to some scriptures.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to talk to the person that brought this all up and to spur this second video. We talked before this video. We say, I was telling Josh, it's going to be like a 15-minute video. He's like, right. He's like, there's never anything 15 minutes.
No.
Yeah. We'll say, no, we can do it. We knock it out 15 minutes, couple scriptures. Just tie it up with a bow. Be done with it.
Yeah, it's been like, let me see here. It has been an hour.
Yep. I had a feeling it was an hour. Well, all right, well, let's hit some scriptures.
Oh, NA had some comments. I'm not sure. I'm not sure when NA posted them.
Sorry, NA, we didn't know you were there. Josh has neglected the chat. Sorry.
Yeah, I was too busy talking. Sorry. The point of marriage, as I conceive of it, is that it is acknowledging a sacred bond that is created during sex and honoring the other person as a child of the Father. Well, that bond was created by Yahweh, not the Father. Now, how do I see it? Not any way how Yahweh sees it.
No. If you think about it, like, when you awake to who you truly are, which is spirit, which is love,
you're not under any of that stuff.
And then you're like the angels. You're not.
All right, have a good one, NA.
Yeah, definitely. So now I think the sexual aspect of it, that's the thing that happens with this flesh. I think that the true bond is a bond of love. It has nothing to do with the physical anymore.
100%. I agree with that 100%. It's not even the sexual stuff that.
Now, what NA said is what we're taught, though, right? That's what we're taught in religion and in the church, is that when you get married and then you consummate, when you have sex, you consummate the relationship. Now you're truly one. We see that like it's in this realm. It's what makes you one is when you take that vow. That's what's making you one. That's what's keeping you bound to that other person. It's the vow. It's not even the sex.
Yeah, I mean that's what. That's how I would see it. It would be the vow making you guys one.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you're looking at the spiritual aspect, you're awake and you know that you are love, and they're awake and they know that they are love. Well, we're bound by one. Why? Because we're all one anyway. We're the body of the anointing. We're the Son, right? We all have our own portion of the Father within us, which is our spirit. But we're all one anyway.
The big thing is that.
So what would sex have to do with anything to do with uniting us together through the Father when we're one through the Father anyway? Because the Father's in all of us. We're all one anyway. So I don't think sex has anything to do with it at all anymore.
No, it don't, and that's the whole point I was trying to get to anyway.
Yeah.
Like the bond is the vow that you took, and you guys become one.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back into Genesis, it doesn't say anything about sex. It says unite.
Yep.
Which means cleave to. Now, unless that's some euphemism for having sexual intercourse with somebody.
I've heard a lot of words for it, but I never heard it. Man, I want to unite that chick so bad. I want to unite with her. Never heard it that way.
And those, like I said, those things have to do with the soul. Where when you're truly awake, you're not the soul anymore. You're the
spirit.
You're this phantom.
Mm-hmm. You like the phantom word, don't you? You like that?
Well, because it's not the word spirit.
Yeah. I say spirit for the sake of people. If they've been in the church, they know what spirit means. Well, I can't even really say that, can I?
And they also said prior to, I guess, I'm leaving, or before he or she left, you choose to be with a person and commit to them in marriage because you see the Father in them, and together you can reflect the Father's love to the world. Well,
what's the vow have to do with you together
you're
reflecting
doing that
the Father's love?
Because if you're truly in love and the person's truly in love with you,
yeah,
and you're together, a piece of paper and a vow to Yahweh isn't going to make you any more united.
And it ain't gonna increase the ability for you to reflect the Father's love. Listen,
the big thing is, I think what people are getting hung up on is that they think because you take this vow of marriage, right, that they're committed to me, and if they're just not going to sleep with me and leave or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If that was true,
listen to this.
50% of marriages.
I want to trust that the person I love and I'm with isn't going to cheat on me because they love me, not because they have a piece of paper that says they can't do it.
I agree, and that's my whole my whole point of all of it. Like everything we've been talking tonight. If someone truly loves you, they're not going to violate you. They're not going to do it because they love you.
This goes back to
they
me
don't
talking
get
about
this
grace.
they don't get that understanding at all, because if they did, they would understand that if you truly find someone who actually loves you like Christ loved the church, guess what? You're with them,
and you can trust them.
And are they ever going to leave you or forsake you?
Well, the anointing never forsakes the church, does it?
It doesn't.
No. And get this. It goes back to how I used to talk about grace.
And that's the whole thing. You also keep your sovereignty. You're not bound. You're not a slave to someone else.
So you have the commitment. You're both reflecting the love of the Father, and you're still free.
But people want people to be bound to them. They want the government to tell them that they got to pay for these kids and stuff, because no one ever truly loved anyone to begin with. They were always into the relationship for their own personal reasons, to get the things they wanted out of it. And when they got out of it, they fell out of love and they left.
And people are so worried that we're saying, if you don't get married, it's kind of like a free ticket to go sleep with somebody else. No, it's not. It's just like when I used to talk about grace. Like, you talk about grace too much, it's almost like you're giving people a ticket to sin. And I'd be like, no, it's not, because if you knew the grace of the Father and His love, why would you want to sin anyway? If you really truly knew, if this person really loves you and you really truly love them, what's the paper have to do with it? You're not going to want to cheat on them anyway, because it's not out of love.
Right, and
there's no
this idea of someone falling out of love with you. It's not even a true thing, because
listen, if you could fall in and out of love, then you don't know love, because love is pretty fickle. It's a pretty fickle thing in your perspective.
What it is they fall out of lust with you, and you're not doing the things they want you to do anymore, and you're not fulfilling their needs anymore, and you're not the guy that they married anymore, right? Or you're not the guy that they want you to become anymore. It has none of that has anything to do with love at all. It's all selfishness, every bit of it. And you base your relations off these things because you think that this is what love is, and it has nothing to do with what Christ said love was.
Listen, when I got in that relationship with the woman, was a certain way until I moved in. Things were still okay but over time, where she realized I had already changed all I was able to change. I started getting to where I didn't even know who I was. And
right.
I put my foot down finally. I decided I'm not changing anymore for this person. Well, after I decided that, the relationship started getting worse and worse and worse, because she's finally seen he's not going to be the person that I thought I could turn him into. Right? And eventually I called the thing off. I moved out. I was the one that called the thing off. But eventually she would have got sick of it, because she was already, I'm telling you, it was getting worse and worse all the time.
Okay, NA had two things here. One is, that's right, and that's how you know someone is spiritually of the Father. They won't violate you. I agree.
True.
The other thing he said, or the other thing NA said, is I don't think the paper is the problem. Well, when we're referring to the paper, we're talking about the vow that's on the piece of paper that you have to sign, for one.
Yeah, it's not.
And then,
it's not a piece.
Then there's the physical vow that you make as well, the verbal vow that you make between you, that person, and God. So I don't think the paper is the problem. The vow is, in quotations there, is the two people standing before Jesus and expressing their intent to love each other as Jesus loved us. Right, but you don't need a vow to do that, because when you're truly in when you're truly in love, you don't need a piece of paper. You don't even need to stand before Jesus or say anything to anybody. It's between,
when you're truly in the Spirit.
It's between you and the person that you're with.
Yeah. Yeah. What's crazy is that the systems of this world that are set up, and marriage being one of them, the Father hasn't a care about any of it.
No,
all the Father cares about is
this crap.
All our social interactions with each other and deciding who we want to be with and who we don't want to be with. That's of none of his concern. He's only concerned about love.
And that's it.
There was all these other things that people look at and perceive as sin, or perceive as this is the right way or this is the wrong way. That's all the knowledge of good and evil. And there wasn't even any sin until if there wasn't any law. If there wasn't any law, there wouldn't be any sin. We had scriptures we were going to talk about that, about about who the Christ came for, who love came for, the anointing came for.
Right.
And we didn't get to that.
No, it kind of when
there's a whole bunch more to say, but we didn't get to the scriptures.
I mean, we can get going if you want. It don't matter to me.
Well, I don't know. Jeremy, our brother that we had on one of our videos, he requested to me one day with great he volume.
Does know you can pause the video and come back and it plays it at the same spot.
He said it's a good video, but for goodness sake, can you guys ever make a video under an hour and a half?
we got a few.
Yeah, there's a couple. Well, when we thought from the beginning that we're going to be able to talk maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and our first podcast together was 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't really understand.
If we keep going, this one probably be 3.
This one could be. There's a lot to this, and it's really good stuff. I mean, bouncing this back and forth, and I love how we've been able to just. We had no preconceived notion about what was going to be said, what the Father was going to bring out.
No, actually, all the stuff we talked about isn't anything that we got verses on right
nothing.
now.
Nothing. We never hit a scripture, people. Never hit a scripture. But the stuff that we're talking was truth. Even without reading the scripture word for word, the stuff we were talking about, there's truth all over it. And it definitely, I feel, was from the Father, 100%.
I mean, I said I quoted a whole bunch of scriptures and stuff, but what I'm saying is the scriptures that we actually put up to actually talk about, we haven't gotten to any of those.
We never did that. Yeah.
Like I said, if you're down, I'm down.
How many scriptures we got?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 11.
Yeah, I'm going to call it this way. There's a whole bunch of teaching about what you got set aside there that we pulled up, and they're more about pointing out it fits with marriage because marriage is a law, a Yahweh law, but it's more of a law teaching. I think that we covered the rest of the stuff that was asked for. I think we put a little bow on the request that was made, to go ahead and finish up the stuff about marriage and things. So I'm comfortable with what we did tonight. I'd like to do the rest of that stuff as a teaching on law, if it's cool with you.
Well, why don't we just make it, as of right now, Marriage and Mirage, part 3.
Trace is coming. Look at that. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, like, share, and subscribe. We were happy to have everybody that listens to this listen to it. We hope that you get something from it. because I know that I did.
I think this is the last thing I'm going to say right here. If you truly want someone to love you, then find the love that's in you, so then you can find the love that's in someone else. If you don't,
absolutely,
you're going to keep finding the nonsense of the soul in this world, which is selfishness, and none of it is beneficial to you. And that's either the selfishness in yourself, wanting and desiring things that someone else cannot give you at all.
Yep.
Or you're going to end up with someone who's that way towards you. They're wanting all these things for you to be, and you changing everything you are about you to fit someone else's idea, and they end up leaving anyway. Because the reality is, once you become what they want, they no longer want you anyway, because they want the control of changing you.
Yeah.
Right? They don't want to be with you. They want to change you. And when you become the thing that they say they want, then they leave because you're no longer a challenge to them.
Oh, that's so good, dude. There was a lady that I knew. She was a Christian, and her husband wasn't. And she prayed for him to get saved, prayed for him to get saved, prayed for him to get saved. Pushed him, fought with him, get mad at him all the time. He finally gets a call from Yahweh, goes to the altar, sacrifices his soul. And what happens about 3 months later? She finds out it wasn't what she wanted anyway, and she cheats on him. Isn't that crazy?
She probably already cheated on him long before that in her mind.
Yep, I'm sure.
But we are the last awakening warriors. Hoorah. And as always, do the Father's will. And, we have not forgot about your questions that you posted on the other video.
We did not.
It's just that we keep on getting bogged down in other videos.
Yep.
We will address them.
Absolutely.
Hopefully sometime soon. And we'll send
And I want to know, are you male or female? So when I address NA, can we say he or she?
That would be nice.
Instead of saying both NA, he or she.
Yeah. I don't know why it keeps coming out.
Love you, NA.
Always.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. Depending on how you're doing tomorrow, dude, we might do another video.
Yep.
We might do part 3 of this, or we might do something else. I'll save all the tabs and stuff.
There we go.
Always like, comment, subscribe, and
comment, please. Email if you don't want the comment. Email is lastawakeningwarriors@gmail.com.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
No, thank you.
As always, do the Father's will.
Again.
Be blessed. And
rub-a-dub-dub.
Secrets of the universe.
Welcome to the Last Awakening podcast.
Hope all things, believe all things,
endure all things,
and do all things.
Welcome to the awakening. Yeah.
Hey, look, dude, you're talking over the outro. It's kind of getting annoying now.
I talk over the outro. Later, peeps.